our aim as a really passionate team is to support young people's mental health, bridging that gap between mental health and education, and giving hope to young people.
Get ready your breakfast with Rich Smith.
It's Small Charities Week, and we're speaking to as many small charities as we possibly can do in this week to highlight the fantastic work that they do. And now joining me after the fairly rapid school run this morning and traffic that's been on Oxfordshire's roads is Susie Besant from 180. Good morning, Susie.
Morning, Rich. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm very well. Thanks so much for making it in. The roads have been an utter nightmare this morning. You've been stuck in the school run, as I know lots of people have this morning. So thank you for making it in. Let's dive straight in. Tell us more about 180, where you are and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So 180 is a charity that supports children and young people across the 4 to 18 age range across Oxfordshire and Buckinghamshire. And ultimately, our aim is to support young people with intensive interventions to re-engage them with education. So a lot of the young people that we work with are not leaving their homes, which obviously has been exacerbated by the pandemic, but not necessarily a trigger. And our aim as a really passionate team is to support young people's mental health, bridging that gap between mental health and education, and giving hope to young people. And we do that through intensive one-to-one interventions, but also preventative mental health projects. So a number of schools across Oxfordshire would have received our Make Me Smile project and our Kickstart project to really help young people understand how to support their mental health as well as their physical health.
Something, just from a personal point of view across the pandemic, that I've made a lot of people, and I know I'm not alone like this, is making them realise their own mental health, their own well-being is vitally important, because, you know, the last sort of few years we've been put in situations that we've never actually had to deal with before, and changing that. And you know, I'm an adult, I have lovely things and wonderful things, and some people don't have that, and the younger you get as well, the more maybe the more sort of suffering in silence type thing, and it's more important that doesn't happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we're seeing a lot more parents and carers who are struggling since kind of a year or two ago. As you said, like a lot of stresses and strains are happening more so, and you know, the cost of living crisis doesn't help with that, but also parents are struggling to know what to do right now for their young people when there's waiting lists for statutory services. And you know, I've got the privilege of working with so many amazing charities that I know you've got on across this week, who are really passionate about supporting those right now in the point of crisis, but also to try and prevent that. You know, we're trying to think of the two sides so that there aren't more people who are needing to access services, but actually they're having the tools to support their mental health and well-being much earlier on, which means that later on in life, young people won't need to have to access services such as CAMS or other kind of statutory services where there are huge strains.
Just touching on that, in terms of this week, this Small Charities Week, is there a lot of crossover, like you said, with other charities sort of helping each other out? You know, what's the kind of environment like? Is it kind of like, you know, we're all trying to aim to help to do things? Is there a lot of support with each other in this?
I think I've definitely noticed over the past probably 5 years that charities like myself or like ourselves have really tried to rally together. And I think charities are really unique in the fact that they don't have these parameters. Obviously, we do have parameters that we have to kind of be within, but we also have the flexibility to say, hey, you're a great charity doing amazing work. I've got an idea, you've got an idea, let's fuse that together and try and impact more young people and really get to the core of some of the concerns that are out there. And I think that there are more organisations that are working together and want to work together. And, you know, a number of the charities that you've got on this week, 180 does work with, and are really keen to collaborate with the right people in order to impact more. I think that most of the charities would say that some of the issues are funding. You know, there is very little funding to support amazing charities like ourselves. And also, I think the listening ears of the powers that be. I know that a lot of our organisations are really trying to get the ear of the government, of local MPs. And because we're small charities, we don't always get to the top of the list, but we're so passionate to get heard and to really communicate the voice of the children, young people and families that we're all working with.
That's something I've noticed. Here we are sort of 2 days into doing this Small Charities Week here on the radio, and that's something that every single person that I've spoken to, it bleeds through in bucket loads. Is the passion of the small charities, because like you say, you're actually, you know, there are a lot of advantages of being a small charity, as we've heard about, but the disadvantages as well, and just the passion seeing you through is an amazing stuff. I've asked everyone this, and it is a call to action. It's a bit more serious. It's a bit more of a radio kind of like, listen, all right, everyone listen in now. What do you need?
Firstly, I need people. 180's best asset are our amazing staff who, let's be honest, when you work for a charity, you don't do it for the money. You do it because you really believe in the cause. And I believe that 180's got the model and DNA to really support the core of what's going on for young people, to re-engage them with education. So, you know, we're looking for really passionate people who want to work for a charity, who want to affect change. And alongside that, we're looking for funding that doesn't come with strings attached. I'm sure all of the charities this week would say that funding is a hurdle. You know, without the flexibility to use your money for even the small things, you know, I know that other charities have talked about, we do more with much less, and that is just getting bigger and bigger in terms of our resources. You know, we go and ask for free things, we ask for a favour, we ask for volunteers, but we really need that consistency and that kind of guaranteed funding to do more. Part of what 180 is trying to do is grow to impact more young people, and those two things are really key to help us make that happen.
Absolutely, it's a brilliantly put. How can people find out more about 180, potentially sort of volunteering, potentially helping out and potentially giving?
Yeah, absolutely. So anyone can visit our website, which is www.1-80.org.uk, or you can visit our social media sites and just drop us an email to say, I heard about you, I want to know more, I'd love to help, how can I do that? And we're currently working on a volunteer strategy to get more people involved in our work, but we're always open for people, you know, understanding about what 180 does, whether you want to refer to us to have our support or to fundraise. You know, it doesn't have to be us involved. If you want to do a skydive and raise money for vulnerable young people, go for it. If you want to run a bake sale, if you want to get your school involved, please do get in touch and we can send you a fundraising pack. But yeah, most of all, we just want to have the voices of the young people heard, and the young people that we work with just really want to communicate, like the impact that our charity has had and that many other charities have, but also this kind of call for help, that the government needs to really listen to on the ground work, not just kind of the powers that be making decisions without knowing what is going on the ground.
No, brilliant stuff. It's been an absolute joy and a pleasure catching up with you and finding out the work that 180 does. It's fantastic. I'm sure lots of people will be in touch after listening to that, impassioned and wonderful stuff that you do across the county. That's Susie Besson, the Chief Executive Officer of 180. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
It's brilliant stuff. I'm thoroughly enjoying this week, just on a personal level. It's been really interesting and really insightful chatting to small charities on Small Charities Week. If you fancy getting in touch as well, do so. studio@getradio.co.uk. It's what we're here for. We are a platform to get in front of ears across Oxfordshire. And that's what we're intending to do with our Small Charities Week. Brilliant stuff.